Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to, we'll call this wacky Wednesday edition of the Renegade of Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams. I've gotten so many questions from you guys over the last couple of days and a couple of shows that I wanted to try and get through as many of them as I could this week, especially since most of them are WrestleMania related. Thank you very much for doing as I've requested of you guys. If you're wondering where Statboy is, Statboy didn't film a traditional rant this week. He did do his predictions. Those will be up in a couple of hours. Look for that around lunchtime, around noonish to go live. In the meantime, in between time, I'm going to answer some more WrestleMania questions and a couple of non-WrestleMania questions that I just really liked. The non-WrestleMania ones first. Let's get those out of the way. WWE anime fans asks John Cena or Jeff Hardy, who has the smarter smarks? The people who can actually give a reason for hating and not the shitty reasons like can't wrestle or just suck. I think Jeff Hardy has the smarter smarks in that instance. Over the years, I have been fans of both men, and recently for Jeff Hardy within the last couple of years. A little bit further back with Cena, I've turned my back on both men. Cena I turned my back on, and it's not because he can't wrestle or he just sucks. I turned my back on Cena because he oversaturated the marketplace. I don't want to see him on Raw, Main Event, Superstars, SmackDown. I don't need to see him all across the board. Granted, he's a Raw talent. He primarily appears on Raw. But let's be honest, more often than not, his segments for Raw get re-shown during Main Event, Superstars, SmackDown. So he's on every broadcast. I got tired of the saturation with John Cena. He actually can wrestle, they just don't allow him to. Unless it's a desperate measure, desperate times call for desperate measures situation like WrestleMania against Triple H, WrestleMania against Shawn Michaels, Money in the Bank against CM Punk. They let him wrestle in those situations. Otherwise, it's Super Cena, 5 moves of doom. Jeff Hardy I don't like because of the drugs. Jeff Hardy, he's had his glorious redemption story, his re-rise to the top of TNA and World Champion, and I'm proud of him. Great. But I've got my doubts that he's going to fuck it up again, just like he did the last time with his drugs. I have no sympathy for a guy that goes out there and damn near tries to kill himself with his drug use. None. That's why I turned my back on Jeff Hardy. I looked up to Jeff Hardy for a long time. And then he freaking went out there against Sting, strung out beyond belief. And I was just done with him. The fact that he thought he could go out there and perform said leaps and bounds about Jeff Hardy to me. So, I think Jeff Hardy has the smarter smarks as far as people that can actually give reasons for hating on them. Because I think my reason for Jeff Hardy is pretty good. Kirby shot us. This is kind of WrestleMania related, kind of not WrestleMania related. It says, I've read 3 formal complaints from fans to the WWE regarding the Zeb and Swagger storyline, Punk disrespecting Paul Bearer's death, and Wade Barrett's bare-knuckle fighting vignettes. Are the fans to blame for the poor storylines? And for those in doubt, have you seen Barrett use his bull hammer on Raw or SmackDown lately? I don't think the fans are to blame for poor storylines. At least not directly. I think it's a big combination of things. You've got the fact that they're basically settled into a PG market thanks to their deal with Mattel. You've got the fact that WWE keeps hiring Hollywood writers, script writers, to be their creative team instead of getting people that actually have knowledge in wrestling. And then you've got the fans. You can't please everybody. You please one set of fans, another set of fans is going to get pissed off. Perfect example is Cena and Rock. All the Rocky supporters are pissing off the C-Nation fans. All the C-Nation fans are pissing off the Rocky supporters. And both of them combined are pissing off the CM Punk fans because Punk had to dump his 434-day reign to The Rock just so that the title can more than likely go back to Cena. You can't please everybody. I personally don't have an issue with the Zeb Swagger storyline. I don't feel I'm racist, but I agree with a lot of the things that they're saying. As an unemployed male struggling to try and find a job in this society and economy, and then you've got a bunch of illegals out there taking 2 or 3 jobs just because they're willing to work for less. I kind of agree with what Zeb and Swagger are saying. Punk disrespecting Paul Bearer's death, there has not been disrespect in the Paul Bearer storyline up until Monday night. Monday night even I felt they crossed the line, and I've heard that Paul Bearer's sons are actually upset with the dumping of the ashes. They have been cool with everything else. They were submitted the storyline and approved it, so there's nothing they can really do about it now. But supposedly, what they are presented on paper and what played out on Raw were 2 completely different things. So I don't think there's been any true disrespect to Paul Bearer's death up until Monday. Even I think Punk went somewhere that he didn't need to go. But you know what? I'm still supporting Punk. He is the best heel in the company for a reason, and he's the biggest threat to Undertaker's streak in a long time. And they have to push the envelope in the storyline to make everybody think that Undertaker's going to lose. Whether he does or not, we'll find out on Sunday. Whether it's 20-0 or 21-0 or 20-1, we'll find out on Sunday. But in order to create that doubt, that illusion that the Undertaker can be bested, they've got to push the envelope like this and fuck with the Undertaker's head. So I haven't had a problem with it. The bare knuckle fighting, it is what it is. Is it real? Is it an angle? Don't know, don't care. You're right, he wasn't using the bullhammer on Raw or SmackDown for a while, but he did use it this week on Raw. He did use it. So, like I said, Kirby, I think it's a combination of the PG era, the poor script writers, and the fans, because you can't please everybody. You can please some of the people some of the time, but you can never please all the people all the time. Words to live by. Coolio 1986. Now we're on to the WrestleMania questions. Strictly WrestleMania questions from here on out, folks. Coolio 1986. Do you think if WWE was to do anything with the Legends like they did at WrestleMania 17 with the Gimmick Battle Royal, what would you like to see or have done with the Legends at WrestleMania in the future? This is going to be a serious cop-out, but I'd kind of like to see another Legends Battle Royal. At WrestleMania 30, the 30th anniversary of the greatest spectacle in sports entertainment, have another Legends Battle Royal. And now that some of these guys that are going in the Hall of Fame this year have apparently made peace with the WWE, have some of them in the match. Could you imagine how hard the crowd would pop at WrestleMania 30 if you had guys like Bruno Sammartino and Bob Backlund in a Legends Battle Royal against guys like Piper, Sheik, Brett, Shawn, Flair? It'd be fucking phenomenal. Dusty, Harley, any of these guys that can still go or even gimp around the ring enough to put on a decent battle royal Throw them in there. Ricky Steamboat. Could have a phenomenal Legends Battle Royal, and not just a gimmicky one with pieces of shit like the Goon and the Gobbledygooker. Have a true Legends Battle Royal. Randy Red. Hey JJ, considering Fandango is having his debut match at WrestleMania, my guess is that WWE is really going to try and push him, I guess. With that said, should he beat Jericho at WrestleMania? Because of Jericho's status, I don't think he should, but I believe if he puts on an awesome match, his stock will rise big time just for being able to hang with Jericho. They could always have Fandango get his win back at Extreme Rules. Randy, I don't know if you saw my prediction show this past Monday. I kind of touched on this a little bit in that, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. I don't think Jericho is going to win at WrestleMania. I don't think they're going to save Fandango for his debut at WrestleMania and then have him job out to a part-timer. I just don't think it's good booking sense. Jericho can always get it back at Extreme Rules, but I think it would be stupid to have Fandango job at Mania and then have Jericho get it, or then have Fandango get it at Extreme Rules. Pairing78 says, hey JJ, if The Rock hadn't come back to WWE, what do you think the match card would have been for this year's WrestleMania? Well, the only matches that would be in serious jeopardy is The Rock Cena. I think Cena would have faced The Undertaker, which is what the rumor was long before they started building up towards Rock Cena 2. And I think Punk would have still been WWE Champion and challenging against whoever, or defending against whoever. It could have been a big old question mark. It could have been Punk Brock, the battle of the Heyman guys at WrestleMania, and Triple H could have just stayed his fucking ass retired and not had to come out of retirement for the paycheck. That's what I probably would have done. Cena Taker, Punk Brock, no Rock, no Triple H. My last question comes from Falcon17. He says, I posted this on episode 93, but no answer. And then he has one of those grr faces. Okay, before I go on to your question, I pulled this off of the website yesterday, Tuesday. It said it had been posted a day prior, which would have been Sunday or Monday, depending on what time it actually went up there. I filmed my prediction show on Sunday. So there was no way for me to have, and I filmed the other one on Sunday. So there's no way for me to have seen it if it didn't go up there until late Sunday. And I checked my questions before I filmed, and it wasn't up there yet. So next time, don't give me the whole grr face thing because you didn't get your question answered. I just probably didn't see it in time. Falcon17 says, clearly the Taker Punk match will be later on the card than Triple H Brock. So what about this? Taker obviously goes over Punk. Taker is celebrating as he normally does after the match, only to be attacked by Lesnar, who hits him with the F5 and stands over Taker saying the words, you want to do it? The same words uttered in the famous YouTube video. This sets up a huge match at WrestleMania 30, and we've never seen something like this before for Taker. That's a great idea, except everything I've read. Then again, everything I've read said it was supposed to be Taker Cena this year. Everything I've read says that at WrestleMania 30 it's going to be Brock Rock 2. The rematch from SummerSlam 2002 at WrestleMania 30. It's everything I've read. I would prefer to see Brock Taker if Taker defeats Punk, but I also want to see Taker go in the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 30. I think having Taker go in the Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania 30 would be the perfect way to cap off that era that was supposed to have ended last year with the end of an era. To cap off that era and put him in the Hall of Fame where he belongs at WrestleMania 30. The show's going to be in New Orleans. The colors on the logo are already purple, which is old school Taker colors, purple and black. I think that would be the best way to do it. You've got a great idea here, but WWE Creative doesn't usually listen to great ideas. They listen to bullshit. So, it would be great. I'd like to see it, but all signs point to Rock Brock 2. That's going to do it for this edition of Renegade Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams. I will be back here on Friday with my Hall of Fame edition Q&A. So if you got any questions regarding the Hall of Fame, please submit them either onto this video or tweet them to me at ROWJJWilliams, or put them onto either the Renegade of Wrestling fan page on Facebook, the one for the show, or the Renegade of Wrestling JJ Williams, the fan page for me. I will go to all those places to try and find questions for the Hall of Fame edition. I will be back on Friday here in this chair with another edition. And until then, I will see you next time right here from the Casa D18 Studios channel.